Hey y'all. So today we have a really awesome opportunity to bring some great people together to chat. We have some theater professionals and we have the next generation of theater professionals that are getting to chat about what they want their future to look like. Talking about how their journey brought them to where they are and sharing that with the next generation. But one of the things that we're really focusing on is how important it is to have an equity theater in the place that you grew up and what that could have done to adjust your journey.
Hello, my name is Melissa Mitchell and I am a professional actress. I have been for the last 10 years. Originally from San Diego and lived in New York City, and now I live in Charleston.
Hi, I'm Aya Smith. I'm 17. I'm a senior at West Ashley High School. I'm from Moorpark, California originally, and I moved to Charleston about 6 years ago.
We're California girls.
California girls.
We are. Okay, so Aya, tell me what it is that you hope to accomplish in your life as far as theater is concerned.
As far as theater, I want to help kids as a career, I want to help kids in low-income communities and in low-income households be able to have the privilege of doing what they love in theater and in the arts. So I want to have a studio that teaches acting, singing, and dancing at an affordable price for them.
I love it.
Thank you.
The youth of America. Okay, so how do you think that a professional theater here in Charleston, or somewhere in a city like Charleston, a professional equity theater, how do you think that would benefit you or your students, people that are going to come and work for you someday?
I think opportunity
Yeah,
is the main thing
yeah,
that would help.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all have to start somewhere, and I know you're from California, I'm from California. Where I grew up, there was a lot of theater, but it was very cutthroat. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's like that.
Yeah.
It is like that there too, right?
Yeah.
Very cutthroat. Here it's a smaller area, so I think it's definitely...
The pressure is definitely removed. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But I do think it's going to be good to have another level of theater. And not have so much, I don't want to say so much competition, but just, I feel like where we're from, it's like...
Yeah, I think as the theater gets more competitive, the more people who are doing that theater decreases. So,
Yeah.
and if the goal is how we want more people to be involved in theater who love it, I think that that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, I worked for a professional equity theater in Boston, and they would come and audition in New York every year, and I would help them with auditions. And when they would have like a non-equity open call, we would get at least 400 girls that would come in and audition for whatever show it was at the time.
Yeah.
So, you're not just competing against 400 other people, but then you're also competing against all of the equity actors as
Yeah.
well. So it's like, if you book anything, you're like, I did it.
Yeah.
But here, definitely in a smaller town and with a theater like this, I think it's gonna be just, more opportunity for people who normally wouldn't even think to audition.
Because they think they don't have a chance.
Yeah, exactly. And now they're gonna be like, wow, there's a new theater, it's equity, I'm gonna audition, maybe parents are gonna be like, oh, maybe I'll have my kid audition for that. Because I don't know about you, but I feel like probably the same. But a lot of the people that I know that are successful now started when they were kids.
Yeah.
And they worked at big professional theaters when they were kids. I did not do that, and I wish I had. What would you say to people that, especially people that don't have the privilege of doing theater, can't afford everything, but what would you say to them as far as like what benefits are there to doing theater, even if they don't want to do it professionally?
Yeah. I think theater goes way more beyond getting a part and performing on opening night and closing night. I think you can take a lot away from it. I've personally taken a lot away from it. I've struggled with mental health my entire life. it's definitely helped with my anxiety, and being in a safe space where people are making mistakes and you're making mistakes and
Yeah.
you're learning from them together. You don't feel judged, it's no pressure, and it's definitely helped me grow into myself.
Yeah. And I think too, you know, like we were saying, like your communication skills.
Yeah.
And you know, there's an element of teamwork, but it's not like when you do sports,
Yeah.
right? Like when you do sports, there's definitely teamwork, but you're not constantly communicating with each other. I mean, I feel like theater just like forces you. Sometimes you have to
Yeah.
like someone that you don't like at all.
Yeah.
But it teaches you how to still be a part of a team, even if everybody's not the best of friends.
Yeah.
And I mean, same as you, I've struggled with mental health. And I know that when I'm with my theater people, I feel like I'm home.
Yeah.
So I think that that is also something, having a place like Charleston Playhouse that, you know, especially kids hopefully will feel that way, but adults too.
Yeah, adults definitely.
Yeah, will feel that way too, where they'll be like, oh, like this is my safe space. And I just think that the benefits of theater go far beyond being a professional actor or
Yeah.
actress or whatever. It just teaches you a lot of skills, life skills.
Life skills.
Yeah. Your dream is to open up like a studio that's like you said, triple threat studio,
Yeah.
right? Which I love. Because nowadays you have to do it all.
Yeah.
And okay, so as a professional who has also taught a lot, I've taught a lot, I definitely can see the benefit of having professional experience and, you know, and I mean, you have more weight to you if you're able to say to whoever you're teaching, like, I've done professional theater, I've worked with professionals. So what do you think, how do you feel about like how that's gonna benefit you in your dream of making this studio a reality?
Well, I'm a senior in high school. I'm about to graduate, which is crazy. And I'm about to go into the real world and be working.
Yeah.
And I want to work as a screenwriter to be able to build connections within the industry and then be able to start my studio.
Yeah.
And I think that this goes for all things, not just theater, that if you have experience, the people you're teaching are more likely to listen to you.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
to take notes from that and to be able to grow from it. And if the whole point is growth and making people feel like they're wanted and better, that experience is
Yeah.
needed for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, like we were saying, it's not just about like teaching people so that they can also become what you are,
Yeah.
but just teaching them so that they can have those skills for whatever they're going to do. And working in a professional environment is going to help with that. And they're going to be able to see people that are, you know, of a certain level or caliber or whatever you want to call it, talent, whatever. And they're going to be able to be like, oh, okay, wow, like I can learn so much from them.
And I can also do this.
Yeah,
Whether
absolutely.
it's professional or not, it would give them hope or just like fuel to their dream that like I can do this because
Yeah.
this person did it. So.
So good to see you. I'm Thomas Keating. I'm the producing director at Charleston Playhouse, and I'm here with Josh Riley. I want you to know, however, that as producing director at Charleston Playhouse, I want you to forget that for just a few minutes. I'm an Actors Equity actor and a member of that union, having moved here from New York City and Boston, and now am residing in Charleston. I want to keep that in the back of your mind as we proceed. So Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Joshua Riley, as he said. I am the music director at my church, World Overcomers Ministries. I also am a very avid person for, you know, musical theater and whatnot. I've done a couple performances and plays and musicals throughout my college career.
Yeah, we
worked together.
I was going to say the same thing. We actually worked together. I directed Josh in West Side Story at Charleston Southern University. But like I said, oh yeah, he was great. I can see it on your faces out there in the audience. You were just wondering, what did he do? So you want to talk about West Side Story just a little bit?
Man, West Side Story was one of the best experiences of my life. Not just because I love the musical, but just because it was great working with this guy. I'm serious. It was really just a great experience that I've had on the stage, and I played a jet. Funny. It was very involved. Very, very involved, very musical. It really pulled on me in a lot of different ways, both you and Dr. Lucan, like pulling me musically, pulling me as far as acting is concerned, and just making me better in a lot of different ways.
That's so cool. It's like, so I want to talk to you for a second about what we're hoping to do. You know, once again, Charleston Playhouse bringing equity theater and non-union professional theater to Charleston.
Yeah.
Thinking about like going back to college and thinking about the opportunities you had when you were in Charleston, can you imagine maybe, you know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but just think about like, what if professional opportunities existed like at the jump, right when you graduated? Like, what might that mean?
That for me, that would definitely mean just a lot more involvement. I haven't been involved in anything on stage since West Side. No, not since West Side, but since CSU, because we did the opera.
Sure.
Yeah, but still, like, I haven't had any involvement since then, and I'm just like, you know, bills got to be paid, you know, so I don't necessarily have the time to take away from work in order to be involved in something on stage, because I mean, I have to make the choice, and with adulting comes difficult decisions, you know, for the betterment of your lifestyle. But it would definitely mean, for me, I wouldn't necessarily have to choose between being able to do something because I don't have the time to, because I have to work, because I have to get paid. I think I definitely jump more on opportunities
Great.
to perform.
And you're still playing music now, and
Yeah.
where are you playing music these days? Like, what does that entail?
Oh, so I am the music director at my church, World Overcomers Ministries. I am also the lead pianist. Aside from that, you know, just teaching lessons. I teach guitar, I teach voice, and I teach piano as well. It keeps me very involved in music, which I'm very, very grateful for, because I know everyone doesn't always have the, I guess, opportunity or the privilege of being able to actually do what they love for a living and get paid for it, but I do.
You're doing so
Yeah,
well. I mean, but you hit something a minute ago. You said you play the piano, you play
Yeah.
keyboard and this and that. And I remember before we came in and preparing, preparing for this interview that we're doing here, you mentioned, I said, what if you could play in the pit?
Yeah.
And you lit up.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
might that be like, getting back to playing musical theater and then also getting paid as a musician in
Right.
the band? Wouldn't that be a cool opportunity?
Yeah, I think that'd be great, because definitely, like I said, I think musical theater is a part of me. And so not being able to do something that you love just because you don't always have the opportunity to get paid for it is sometimes, it can be heartbreaking, because it's like, man, I really, really want to jump on this opportunity, or man, I've even been asked a couple times by some of the old professors at school to get involved, but I just don't have the time. You know?
Well, you know what's interesting about equity theater is that
Yeah.
we actually rehearse in the daytime.
Yeah.
Because that's our jobs. Like we actually get up and we get ready for work, and work is going to the theater
Yeah.
from say 9 to 4, 9 to 6, depending on the production. But that's what you're getting up to do. You're getting up
Yeah.
to do the thing you love. And not only are you doing it out of passion and joy for the thing you love,
Yeah.
but you're also getting, now I don't want to make it about the money, but you're getting paid.
Yeah.
The things that you keep hitting, you've hit it
Right.
like 3 times. It's
Yeah.
like, oh really, I could do theater, get paid, and then at night I can go home and maybe have a nice meal and go to bed.
Yeah. Right.
And not necessarily pursue my passion in the evenings when I'm kind of burnt out, and then try to have to go to work for the money job the next day.
Right.
Yeah.
It's I just know it's difficult. And like I said, that's not necessarily my story, because I actually have the privilege of having a 9 to 5 be what I love to do. But I just can't imagine, like, I mean, honestly, even being a student, you know what I mean? That's the closest I've been to working a tiring job during the day and then having to come to rehearsals at night.
Right.
But just to live that way, I couldn't imagine. But I think it's so important to have the opportunity to do what you love and get a paycheck for it at the end of the day. Like your 9 to 5 being, hey, this is what I wake up to do. Like, because I was telling you earlier, like, music isn't just my job, it's my life. I don't wake up and say, oh God, I gotta go to work. I wake up and I'm like, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to do what I love and get a paycheck for it every week.
And you mentioned also that several of your friends actually left Charleston. Like you had a core group of friends that were working here in the industry.
Yeah.
And that they ended up leaving because, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you said something along the lines of them leaving because of lack of opportunity.
Yeah, a lot of time, I mean, most of my close friends, I have one who moved to Atlanta, one who moved to New York, another who's in LA right now. I mean, you know, the stereotypical places to move when we're seeking opportunity. And I felt like that's sad because, as I said earlier, like Charleston has such a rich culture of performance, has a rich culture of musical theater, but a lot of times because there isn't a quote unquote professional company to offer jobs for that, like a lot of times people leave because they don't see themselves making a living here in Charleston.
You know, I have a story. I moved here. I was living in New York, and then I was living in Boston. And you know, one of the things I strive for when I left Savannah, Georgia, where I'm from, is I went to New York for professional opportunities. I didn't have an equity card, but I got really excited about professional opportunities, and some not paying great, but then getting to tour the United States and get an equity card, so excited. And then I end up booking smaller gigs in places like Rhode Island or even in Atlanta, Georgia, where I had the good fortune of working in the Fox Theater, which was amazing with Robert Goulet and Paige O'Hara and all these amazing people. And then my life journey takes me to New York and then to Boston with opportunities. And then I came to Charleston where I love living, but I couldn't work for what I do as a professional performer. I couldn't do it without a lot of hoop jumping. And so now, hopefully, with Charleston Playhouse coming to fruition, I'll have opportunities perhaps to work as a performer there, but also to bring up young performers like you. Like, you've still got it in you, whether you're playing at church or not. But to bring young performers like you onto the stage to kind of truly rub elbows with other professionals and then kind of rise up the ranks, as it were, and not only make a paycheck, but make a good professional living doing what you love.
Doing what you love. And that's the big thing. I mean, like you said earlier, it's really just a beautiful thing to not have to work a 9 to 5 and then do what you love with what little energy you have left. Like, just to be able to put all of your focus from the moment you wake up to the moment you get off to what you love to do. And so that's why I think this is great, you know what I mean? Because it gives us that opportunity to say, hey, I don't have to use my backup energy in order to do what I love. I can actually, put everything into this. You know, I don't have to spend any days staying up till 2 a.m. to say, hey, you know, I just got to put the time here. I have to work to fund what I love. Like, you can literally work doing what you love and let what you love fund your way of life. You know what I mean? Like, come on, like, that's the life, you know what I mean?
I feel like in many ways, you just wrapped it up in a nice little bow, and I think that's awesome. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you took the opportunity, you know, to talk with me and then really talk about what we're trying to do. And I think it's awesome.
I think it's awesome too. Like,
I'm Anna Baker. I'm from Vermont. I started studying voice on my 10th birthday. I was so obsessed with voice lessons, and my voice teacher wouldn't let me start until I was 10. So then on my 10th birthday, we started, and then I trained in opera performance until I was like 17, 18, and then I realized that musical theater is actually where I feel the most myself, where I feel the most home, where I can express my actual Anna-ness. So then I started training in musical theater. I went to Emerson College. I got a BFA there, graduated in 2012. and since then have been auditioning full-time and working regionally and on cruise ships and a little bit in New York City.
Hi, I'm Emma Ladd. I'm 14 years old and I go to SOA. I'm a freshman and I'm a vocal major. And I've been taking voice lessons for about 5 years, and I started dancing when I was 10 years old. And I started doing musical theater and loving musical theater since I went to New York and saw Wicked. I love Wicked, it's like one of my favorite musicals, and I started loving it when I went to go see Wicked in New York, and I saw Defying Gravity and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do musical theater. So, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I love musical theater.
Absolutely. So we were discussing some of your hopes and dreams. I would love to hear more of what you're looking for in musical theater, why you do it, why it's the thing you have to do.
I've just always loved performing. It's just like where I'm happy.
Yeah. We were talking about how it's like how we communicate with the world, right?
Yeah, it's how we communicate. It's just
Yeah.
like, it's just what makes me feel happy and makes me feel like really comfortable.
Yeah.
And I just love expressing myself on stage. It's really nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
So knowing that it's important to have beautiful entertainment in any sort of society or community, it's also important that we have a union in place to keep these people safe.
Yeah.
You know, especially in the depths of your training, dancing, singing, and acting is extremely physical. And when we perform on stage, it's 90 minutes to 2.5 hours of like wham, bam, physical activity happening the entire time. It's important so that when we are performing, we have a union that will keep us safe and that will be paying us well financially and that will take care of us physically when something happens. Because something will happen.
Yeah.
No matter how much we train, something's going to happen on stage that's going to, that can really stop the show, or just like accidents happen and we need to be taken care of.
And like you were saying, I think it's really important that we have an equity theater in Charleston, especially for my generation. I think it's really important because, it's just nice to have experience with professionals, especially before I go out into the professional world. I think it's just really, really important for my generation.
So I grew up in a small town in Vermont, and now having been to big towns, I guess Charleston is a small town, but it's not. It's like a
No.
beautiful
Seems big.
city. Yeah. There wasn't any access to any theater community that was safe, that withheld healthy boundaries, that was teaching me in a way that was cultivating my own personality and my own specialness. It was pretty toxic. So my mom created a rec center program for my sister and I, basically when we were like high school age, like middle school, high school age, because the theater where I grew up was so based on who it needs to be the star, like who gets the solo, which is so toxic that it will ruin your career. It will, that whole idea of needing to be the star and needing to be the one that has the most stage time it will poison the joy that you have for performing.
Yeah.
Not to be so low, but it is a lot of the time, there is a lot of toxicity for like the teenagers that are growing up in a theater community. So my mom created this program that was about teamwork and about having authenticity as somebody who, she just wanted to teach children how to stand up for themselves and how to solve problems, which is so important in theater education. And again, I literally cannot imagine what it would be like to grow up around healthy professionals. And again, a way to have healthy professionals is to make sure that we have a union, that we have actors' equity behind us, something that we can stand on, that we know we're going to be taken care of.
Yeah. And growing up in a dance studio that's not my dance studio isn't toxic, but dance studios tend to have favorites and tend to make sure that those are the people that are going to be in the middle. Those are the people who are going to always be in the front line. And what I realized in my dance career is that it's not about your teacher's journey, it's about your journey getting to the front line and getting there, because it's not about being seen all the time, it's about you, and it's just about your journey.
Because there's no one else there. All we have is ourselves, right? We were talking about, if there's one thing that I could instill in you as you are entering this musical theater training journey, is to always speak to yourself with love. This sounds silly, but it is the most important thing because, again, if I had only spoken to myself in a loving way as I was training dance, and if I stood in my power about being somebody who like had a flaw, had something that was hard to get through, I think I would be a better dancer now. I think I would be more marketable now. But you know, it doesn't matter what happens in the past. It only matters how we want to spend our time now and what sort of art we want to create now. So just like make this a core memory. Remember, just always speak to yourself in a loving way. It doesn't matter who else is in the class, and especially doesn't matter what type of energy they're giving you in a class, because remember, that is all their own insecurity, right? So if you can like think of a bubble around yourself, that it's just like, that's you, and I hope you figure that out, but I'm gonna like do my 5, 6, 7, 8 and have a really good time, because that's all you have in life, that's all you have. And having that core foundation inside of yourself is what is going to make this monster of a career okay, because you're going to always have the strength inside of yourself, knowing that you're doing the right thing, that you're in the right place, no matter if anybody else sees it.
Yeah, and we were talking about how it's like really important to like always be kind and to always, because there's always somebody watching you. Like if you're in a convention class, there's always somebody in the back that like might be like, oh my gosh, she's so good, she's not talking, she's paying attention, like I'm gonna book her for my next like tour, or my next anything. So it's really important to always like think before you speak, make sure that you're really polished. And
especially because if you're in a show for a long time, they'll have to reblock the show depending on what is happening around that, depending on, you know, what type of venue you're going to, or that is very important, because when you're in a show for a long time, you'll have to do a lot of reblocking. And if you understand that it doesn't matter if you're taken from the center stage to the back, that the storytelling is still going to be a cohesive moment. And that's especially when, you know, the directors and the dance captains are watching you, to make sure that you don't have a visceral reaction of like, but I'm not in the front anymore. Because it's all about creating a cohesive storyline for the audience, right? Because it's for us, because when we help people, it helps us, you know what I mean? Like the more compassion we have for ourselves, the more compassion we have for other people. But being in a show is about creating an entire world for the audience. Yeah.
you know, everything you just said to me is just so valuable, because if I was in a show with you and if I was working with you, a professional, it would just be really, really beneficial for me. Especially because I want to go to New York or Chicago or somewhere like that and work professionally. So working in that professional environment in my hometown, in Charleston, it literally takes me 15 minutes to drive here and work in a show with a professional, not having to travel hours and hours on an airplane is just amazing. Especially for all of my friends too, who are theater nerds just like me.
And on the other side of that, being a full grown-up, because I guess I'm a full grown-up now, being an adult and being able to have a home and then being able to have a professional theater to work and exist in fills me with so much joy that I can't really express it, and it does make me emotional. Because something I have learned is that, like, as human beings, one of our base needs is shelter, right? It's food and shelter. And we need a home. And the idea of being able to do what makes me human, to be able to perform and what makes me feel the most myself, and share that with other professionals, and also be able to live in the paradise that is Charleston. That makes me pretty emotional. That's sort of like something I never dreamed that would be possible.
Yeah,
I just didn't know it was possible, so I didn't think about it.
It's so humbling knowing that, like, I can sit in a theater and do rehearsals and do tech rehearsals and then come home to my mom and tell her all about this stuff.
Moms are cool.
I love my mom.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Mom.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We truly appreciate your support. Please give us a thumbs up, a like, share with your friends, and subscribe to our channel to learn more about Charleston Playhouse.